In flamenco, we have a cante called colombianas. Perhaps it's the most recent one. It was recorded in 1931. But have you ever wondered if the colombiana has any relation with any Colombian music? Do you know what music inspired the creation of the colombiana and who brought it to Spain? Don't miss episode 11 of the podcast Forgotten Sounds of Flamenco if you want to know more about the amazing story of the creation of the colombiana.
Sounds that once were listened. Sounds that once were enjoyed. Sounds that once were danced. Sounds relegated to oblivion. And yet, there is still something we can do for them. Let us summon them. Let us summon them.
Welcome to the podcast Forgotten Sounds of Flamenco. My name is José Miguel Hernández Jaramillo, and I invite you to enroll in this journey through the sounds, stories, spaces, and people that were part of the 19th century flamenco. Hello, I hope you are very well. In today's episode, I'm going to tell you some preliminary results of a more complete research project done by Lenny Carreyes and me, that will be published soon. We are very excited and happy because it is a good example of how music can unite lands that are already sisters. Still, when they share sounds and feelings, there are even closer ties between the territories and their people. And the protagonist of this alchemy is probably the most recent flamenco palo. I am referring to the colombiana, recorded for the first time 92 years ago in 1931 by Pepe Marchena. Although some people have related it to music from Colombia, with the sole argument of its name, the most widespread opinion today is that this cante has nothing to do with any musical piece from Colombia, but was instead a creation of the cantaor José Tejada Martín, Pepe Marchena, based on a Mexican song entitled El Venadito. Let's listen to a transcription of the Corrido del Venadito, transcribed by the Mexican musicologist Vicente T. Mendoza in 1939. Now let's listen to a transcription of the melody recorded by Pepe Marchena in 1931, entitled Mi Colombiana. In the description of the video of this episode in the YouTube channel, I will add a link to this recording in case you want to listen to it. As you can appreciate, the resemblance is tremendous, so it seems clear that these two pieces are related. As you know, both Lenny Carreyes and I are very cautious regarding research. Some people have taken this melodic similarity between both pieces as the only argument to affirm that the colombiana comes from the Mexican song El Venadito. In this case, the melodic similarity of two musical pieces could indicate that one music derives from the other, but we consider that it is necessary to reinforce this hypothesis with other evidences, both documentary and analytical. Here we began to ask ourselves some questions that should be answered through research work to have more knowledge about how the Colombiana flamenca was developed. Some of these questions were: was Pepe Marchena the creator of this cante? On which sources did Marchena base his flamenco adaptation? Why did he call it Mi Colombiana if the song he took as a model was Mexican? And is it possible that these sources had some relationships with music from Colombia? As I mentioned before, I will only go into some of the research we carried out in this episode because I have a limited time and I would need quite a few episodes, but I will try to make a synthesis. I begin by referring to the testimony of the singer Juan Valderrama, also known as Juanito Valderrama. In an interview, he affirms that the creator of the colombiana is Pepe Marchena and tells how it was created. Marchena took him and other friends to see performances offered in a small cabaret on Madrid. Valderrama said the following: "We didn't know why, but it took us 4 or 5 days in a row, and there was a Colombian duo that sang Quisiera ser perla fina de tus pulidos aretes to the rhythm of tanguillos, and he learned the music and created the colombiana. It is a creation of Pepe Marchena." Although when this interview was conducted, Marchena was already an old man, he was a person with a formidable memory, which is why his testimony seems quite reliable, considering that he personally lived through this experience. Another clue that makes us trust the reliability of this testimony is the copla he mentions, since it corresponds to the last one that Pepe Marchena sings in Mi Colombiana. The stanza is the following: "Quisiera ser perla fina de tus pulidos aretes, pa' besarte la boquita y morderte los cachetes, ¿quién te manda ser bonita si hasta a mí me comprometes?" And this stanza was recorded in El Venadito in 1923 in United States by the duo Salvador Quirós y Muñoz for Colombia. The third stanza in this recording is the following: "Quisiera ser perla fina de tus lucidos aretes, pa' besarte la boquita y morderte los cachetes. ¿Quién te manda ser bonita si hasta a mí me compromete?" You can see that is almost identical. Therefore, this testimony may confirm that Pepe Marchena is the creator of the colombiana, and by the stanza he mentions, we can infer the link melodically and lyrically of the colombiana with El Venadito. El Venadito, as far as we know, was recorded for the first time just over a century ago, in 1923, in both Cuba and United States. We know of up to 4 different recordings, all from that year, so the Venadito is previous in time to the colombiana. So it seems that Marchena created the colombiana based on the song El Venadito. At this point, we have already answered the first 2 questions I asked. This is in line with what is already known in flamencology, but it remains to answer the last 2 questions. Why did Marchena call My Colombiana if he took a Mexican song as a model, and if the sources on which Marchena based it has some relationship with Colombian music? To answer these 2 questions, it is necessary to go deeper into the performances they attended and who the performers might have been. From Valderrama's words, 2 pieces of information of great interest emerge. The first one is that he mentioned that it was a duo of Colombians, and the second is that this song has a rhythm like tanguillo. Furthermore, the dating of these performances must have been before 1931, but only a little earlier, considering that in that year, 1931, Valderrama was only 15 years old. Considering this, the only Colombian duo whose presence in Spain in those years has been ascertained were the famous Alejandro Wills Vargas and Alberto Escobar. Wills and Escobar arrived in Spain in April 1929, invited by the Colombian government to represent their country at the inauguration of the Ibero-American Exposition in Seville. According to the chronicles, they obtained tremendous success in their presentations during the exposition, and later they will also perform in Madrid, first in August singing in the radio, and then in October when they offer some recitals. They probably stayed several months in Madrid and other Spanish cities, returning to Colombia in June of the following year, 1930. Regarding the complete repertoire they interpreted in their Spanish concerts, they sang Colombian songs such as bambucos, pasillos, or guabinas, but their repertoire was more extensive than Colombian songs. Notice what they said in an interview: "We sing songs from different American countries, and we do it accompanied by a guitar and derivation of it, which we call tiple." They also commented the following: "We have been in all American nations. Everywhere we have done very well. The people have treated us admirably, especially in Mexico, a beautiful city and a charming country." Considering all these elements, it could not be surprised that Wills and Escobar knew and interpreted the venadito in their performances. These elements reinforce the hypothesis that they were indeed the duo that Marchena and Valderrama heard. Therefore, it would be logical to think that for Marchena, El Venadito was considered a Colombian song. Perhaps this is the reason for the name he assigned to its flamenco adaptation. Another clue that makes us think that there were Wills and Escobar who inspired Marchena is that it is very significant that he decided to record Mi Colombiana in a duet. In this way, maybe he wanted to achieve a vocal sonority similar to Wills and Escobar's. From Valderrama's description of their performance, which goes to rhythmic of tanguillos, it is possible that they sang it like a bambuco, since this musical expression has practically the same rhythm structure as the tanguillo. The first recording of El Venadito in 1923 were made with a ranchera rhythm. However, in Mi Colombiana there is a more lively rhythm, more similar to Valderrama's description. This made us think about the possibility that Wills and Escobar modified the rhythm of the Venadito song to adapt it to rhythms closer to them, such as bambuco. Finally, I will comment that the Venadito is also present in Colombia in the repertoire of the so-called peasant music, and is sung as a merengue. Until we do not have more elements, this supposition that I have commented to you in this episode will remain in the field of the hypothesis. We are aware that there is still a lot of research work to be done on the conformation of the Colombiana. Still, if these hypotheses are confirmed, we could consider that musical elements from Mexico and Colombia, at least in the rhythmic part, may have participated in this process. Therefore, the affirmation so categorically defended by flamencology that Colombiana flamenco has nothing to do with Colombian music should be put in quarantine. Finally, I'd like to tell you that a few weeks ago we were to Mérida in the state of Yucatan in Mexico to do research work, and we met again with Wills and Escobar. According to Luis Pérez Sabido, Alejandro Wills and Alberto Escobar arrived in Mérida in August 1919 from New York and stayed there until October. They got great success and they were known as the Kings of the Bambuco. The curious thing is that as a result of this stay in Mérida, according to Pérez Sabido, a new local genre was born called the Bambuco Yucateco. From 1920, when El Rosal Enfermo was composed with a copla of the Canary Lázaro Sánchez Pinto and music by Ricardo Palmerín. And why do I tell you this story? Well, because we were shocked to know that Wills and Escobar not only planted the seed for a new flamenco palo to flourish in Spain, such as the Colombiana, but that a decade earlier, an analogous process has taken place in Yucatan, where the Bambuco Yucateco was also created as a result of their music. And also how they probably took a Mexican song or corrido, transformed it into a bambuco rhythm, and took it to other territories. As Lenica and I always say, for us who work on ethnomusicological research, let's say historical, it is more relevant how musical processes resulting from human activity happened than the mere fact of determining which music comes from which other. In this case, artistic mobility between countries or even continents sows the seed for local musicians to appropriate it and create new genres. Well, I will let you know when this research is published, in case you want to know more details on this incredible story of how music can cross borders, transform itself, and how soon it begins to be part of the repertoires of the host territory. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as Lenica and I enjoyed doing this fascinating research. I invite you to subscribe to this podcast on the leading podcast platforms and share it in your socials. I look forward to seeing you here in 2 weeks.